Welcome back, my friends. This is our last podcast episode for 2024, and we're talking about dating on the apps with dating coach Erika Ettin. She's the founder of A Little Nudge. It's a consulting company that helps people navigate the world of online dating from first click to first date. And fabulously, what I love this is her background. She studied economics at Cornell University and received her MBA from Georgetown. And she started A Little Nudge in 2011 after a 7-year career as an economist. That's right, she was an economist. And she's responsible for many relationships, marriages, and the confidence some people simply need to just get out there. Hello, Erika.
Hello, I'm honored to be the last episode of 2024.
And what a topic to be going straight into dating, something that a lot of people struggle with. So I wanted to actually go straight into, because dating is different. I used apps to meet my partner, but I know like there's so many apps. How is using apps different for someone dating that's over 45 versus someone in their 20s that's been using this? This is the only way they know.
Honestly, no. I mean, someone in their 20s grew up more with the internet and with smartphones and all of that. So, I mean, that's a major difference, but people are using the same apps. Like the two most popular apps are the ones I have most clients on right now are Bumble and Hinge, which I would tell you whether you were 22, 42, 62, they're just really popular. There are still sites out there like, look, Match.com's been out for 30 years. I mean, that's still a very viable site to use. eHarmony, it's just not as new. It's not as fresh. And it has a higher barrier to entry because the profiles are a bit longer on a site like Match.com or eHarmony. People have short attention spans, so they want to do something that's easy and their phones are attached to them. So yeah, no, I'm given the same, using the same apps for clients of all ages.
Oh, that's interesting. And what do you find? Because I know people complain about the apps all the time. What do you find are
about the apps? People love complaining.
This is very true. What do you think are common mistakes people make on the apps?
Well, how long do we have? No, just kidding. I would say there's a few things. Let's start with people's attitudes. And I know that's not the question you asked me, but let's start with that because I do believe that people think this should be easy. Finding somebody should be easy. And I disagree. I think just like a job search, let's say you get laid off from a job and you have to put together resumes and you have to write your cover letters and you have to send them out. And then you have to go to some interviews. Some will work, some will not. You can't expect to find your dream job within the first 5 minutes. Why people think that they should find their perfect partner within the first 5 minutes of joining a dating app, I'll never understand. I think most things in life that are important, and I would say finding a partner is pretty important, take time, energy, and often money. And I just want that to be in people's heads, not this should be easy, not resenting the fact that it takes work to meet someone, but more if I put in the work, hopefully I'll be rewarded by having opportunities to meet people who I like. Okay, so back to your original question. What are the biggest mistakes? The first mistake is people not writing answers to the prompts. So Hinge, for example, does require you to answer 3 prompts, but they don't actually require more than 1 word per prompt. Bumble requires nothing. I see blank profiles all the time, and I don't understand because if you want people to only judge you for your looks, that's what you're forcing them to do. If you write 0 words in your profile, I always say lazy profile equals lazy dater, because if someone didn't take the time to write actual words in their profile, are they going to be invested in the conversation? No. Are they going to be invested in signing, scheduling a date? No. Are there going to be exceptions to every rule? Yeah, of course. But I don't play to exceptions. I give advice based on what works. So your first mistake is writing nothing. Your second mistake, yes.
Oh, can I ask a question about that? I
can think of questions, yes.
About writing things. I think I'm going to always speak from, I guess, my point of view, like a woman's point of view. Do guys even read it?
They do.
Okay.
I mean, it's no secret that they look at the pictures first, but who doesn't? I mean, women look at the pictures first too. Women give a lot more leeway, to add pictures if the profile is really good. I can't sugarcoat that. The pictures are really important. But yes, a profile it hopefully will get read, it's still important to write it because, again, if you write nothing, you're forcing, as a woman, as anybody, you're forcing people to say, all right, she's hot, I guess I'll say yes. I would rather, someone still has to think you're attractive, but I would rather them notice you in addition for something you've written. And then your conversation will be better. So I want everyone to plant what I call message bait in the profile, which is basically just stuff someone can latch onto and write about. So if you write, I know you do fitness. So if you write something about teaching fitness, or you have a picture of you with a kettlebell or something like that, it will generate a lot more interesting conversation than you writing nothing or just having
That makes sense.
pictures of you standing there smiling.
It's like a conversation starter. They need something to.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I want to plant as many of those as possible to make conversation easy, because the reality of it is people don't know what to say online. A lot of my work is helping people figure out that first message to send. So I will read a profile with a client. We'll do it over Zoom. I'll find something in there we want to write about, and then I'll help them write that first message. It's much easier when someone gives you something to write about.
That makes total sense. And I'm going to think about in terms of business. Like I use Instagram, as a business, and it's kind of like your storefront, something like, this is what I'm about. So the dating profile is like your storefront for dating.
I really like that. It's definitely your storefront. I would say another mistake is old pictures. You want accurate pictures. I recommend, so Hinge, for example, requires 6 pictures. The rest of the sites, they don't have a specific requirement. I like 5. Generally, 5 or 6. The first picture should be a nice clear shot of your face smiling. The second picture should be a full body picture. The next one should be something interesting that you're doing that, again, might generate conversation. It might be you in front of a microphone podcasting. Oh, what are you doing? What's your podcast about? And then the other 3 should just be you in your element, whatever that is. A big mistake people make is posting group shots. Inevitably, your friend is going to be cuter. We're all very cute, obviously. But not everyone is everyone's taste. So don't let people compare you to your friends, your family. Don't make them play the game of Where's Waldo. You can cross people out,
Yeah.
So the other 3, just, things you enjoy doing.
That's actually a very good, helpful tip. I was thinking, just a lot of people do the group shots. They want people to think, oh, I have friends.
I know what they want. If you're a woman searching for men, there's no man in the world who's going to say, oh my God, yeah, she's so cute. She's adorable. She's hot. I don't know if she has friends. No man in the world has ever said that in his life. Like, as women, we might think that about the guy. Like, if he has 6 selfies, we might think, did he find nobody to take his picture? That's such a female way of thinking. It's just so different.
That's so interesting. Well, that's like, then just getting off topic. What do you think about the shots people always show? I'm on vacation. Here's my fish that I fished out. I'm on vacation.
Okay. Nobody likes the fish pictures. However, I will say, nobody likes them unless
it's a major hobby.
Exactly. I will say, though, the reason so many men have fish pictures is because, as men, and it makes me sad that they don't often feel comfortable asking their friends to take pictures of them. I think that's a societal thing. But the only time they ever really feel comfortable saying, hey, bro, take my picture, is when they're holding a big, disgusting, slimy fish. Because that's, picture warrant, whatever,
Yes.
That makes them feel comfortable asking a friend to take a picture. Again, makes me a little sad, but that's why there's a disproportionate number of fish pictures, because that's when they're comfy asking.
That makes sense psychologically. I have a question about when people are on the app communicating. Actually, let's take it back to one of the services that you do.
Sure.
Because this was very new for me. I didn't know that dating coaches actually do your communicating. Can you talk a little bit about how you go about communicating for the people you work with and set up the dates?
Yeah, so I offer 2 sort of styles of service. One is coaching. I call that doing the work with you, where I'll give you the tools. I'll teach you how to do online dating well, efficiently. I'll give you all the tools. We might also talk about how to meet people in person. The other option is doing it for you, which I call digital matchmaking, which is essentially outsourcing your online dating to me, which does sound crazy. I mean, I hear it, I know. This is for someone who has perhaps tried online dating for a long time and it hasn't worked for them, or who is not devoting the time, can't devote the time, maybe has a big job and just isn't taking that time to put themselves out there in that way, and maybe, outsources everything else in their life. So this is one more thing. So what I do is I get to know a client in depth. We have a very long meeting where I get to know not only who the client is, not just the biographical information, where you're from, what do you do, that kind of stuff, hobbies, but also a sense of your personality. I want to know how you speak. I want to know how you write, because if I am going to be you, essentially, I want to be as accurate as humanly possible. So once we have that initial meeting, I write the profile for whichever sites we discuss. I make sure you like it. You always have, final say on the profile. I basically want you to read it and make sure it sounds like you. We edit it together as needed. Then, for a period of either 3 or 6 months, yes, I will do the legwork of the online dating for you. The last thing I want is to communicate with people longer than I need to. I want to get you on dates. I consider my job presenting opportunities. So many people get stuck in the texting, in the,
Yes.
it's just this loop of, and how about you? And how about you? How's your day? How's your day? How's your week? How's your weekend? Oh my God, please. So
Yeah.
I don't want clients to get stuck in that. So I use a lot of the tools that I've learned over the 13 years of doing this to very quickly and efficiently get somebody from the app to the date. And that's what
Yep.
I do. And so all of my clients are going on more dates than they would go if they were doing it, on their own. And that makes me feel great. Can I guarantee you're going to like someone? No. Can I guarantee someone's going to like you? No. Can I guarantee that all of the people I'm setting you up with are being honest about it? No, of course not. I'm looking at the same people online as you are. I'm
Yeah.
just making the process faster.
hmm I feel like
Yeah.
that service would actually work for a lot of people that I know.
It does, and I use my best judgment. Like, I'll watch clients swipe sometimes, like in the coaching, and
hmm
they'll swipe left or no on people who I think seem really good, or they'll swipe yes on people who honestly look terrible to me. Like, maybe they've said something offensive in the profile, or gross, or sexual, or
Yeah.
they're not trying hard enough, but they're cute, so I'll swipe right. So
Yeah.
I do that thinking for the client. Sometimes they love me for it. Sometimes they don't. I'm not going to lie about that. I have a lot
Yeah.
of clients who say to me, "Why did you choose this person? I'm not attracted to this person." Half the time when I force them, gently push them to go,
Uh-huh.
they'll thank me and say, "Great. I wouldn't have chosen this person on my own. That's why I hired you." That's my
Yeah.
best kind of client. My worst kind of client is the one who says no to everything I do, gets stuck in their own ways, and I don't know why they
Yeah.
hired me to begin with.
Yeah. Would you say in terms of communication, so I know now that you communicate for your client as one of the services
Mhm.
that are definitive, don't do that.
What do you mean?
Um, so like in my mind, when I remember in the beginning when I've done online dating,
Mhm.
and then when the other person starts trying to do like sexual innuendo,
Oh.
I learned like that never goes anywhere.
Cut it immediately. Yeah. So I try to shield my clients from that junk. So
Okay.
if I'm talking to someone on their behalf who gets sexual or gets gross or gets mean or gets weird or sends something they shouldn't,
Yeah.
I take care of that. I unmatch them. I do what I need to do so the
Yep.
client never knows that happened. Luckily,
Yeah.
in my almost 14 now years of doing this, I've only gotten one unsolicited you know what picture, not for me as a
Yeah.
client, and I still remember. I'm sorry, I'm gonna puke. I still remember it, and I deleted it immediately, and she was none the wiser. So I do. I mean, by the time I'm setting a client up on a date, I've really, to the extent that I can, vetted through
Yeah.
the conversation that
Yeah.
person is engaged in the conversation, can write complete sentences, is invested in this process, and
Yeah.
wants to go out with my client.
Okay. Which is bringing me to a question that a friend had asked about AI bots, which I didn't even know existed in the dating world or in dating apps. He had mentioned that these apps now allow you to use a service like AI bots to make matches and arrange dates. Are you able to decipher that when that comes through, or your thoughts on that?
Luckily for me, I don't know a ton about it yet. AI is taking over soon, and I don't know. not terribly concerned about it because it's
Yeah.
never going to be a human. Look, I've had clients paste Bumble profiles into Chat GPT and say, help me write a message to this person. I think that might be actually a good use of it.
Okay.
Will it ever take away my job? I don't think so, because it doesn't do critical thinking.
Yes.
I have read about companies where it's basically two AI bots talking to each other. I think that's out of control. I think that's ridiculous. Can I tell when something is AI generated? Often, yes. The
Okay.
language is a little bit stilted.
Yeah.
They're not answering the questions in the way a human would answer them. Have
Yeah.
I encountered that a lot at this point? No, I haven't.
Okay. Oh, what you just said leads me to the other question he asked. He said, why is it that 90% of the women, I'll ask them a question, they answer it, and they don't ask me a question back? And I feel like that's what I think as a woman for men.
Yeah, everybody complains about this. It is not specific to any gender.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, some people are lazy, not interested, or bad conversationalists. So I have a rule that I put out there. I call it 2QS. Two questions and a statement. So let's have a fake, you and I, let's have a fake online dating. You ask me a question based on my profile. Let's say I wrote something about, I don't know, podcasting in my profile. Okay, start the conversation.
I could be like, how long have you been a podcaster?
2 years.
What made you get into it?
Heard it was popular.
Then at that point, I wouldn't know what to do.
So that's when you would do a statement. So you've now asked your 2 questions. Clearly, this person is not engaging with you. So now you just say, oh, that's great.
Okay, so it kind of leaves it in their court.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do it again. I'll give you the question. So like, oh, I noticed you're a fitness trainer. That's great. I love to work out. How'd you get into that? Give me nothing.
Yeah. I liked working out.
Oh, cool. Yeah, me too. I try to go to my gym 4 times a week. I don't like cardio, but I like strength. How about you? You have a favorite exercise?
Strength.
Nice. And then I would probably put the strong arm emoji and call it a day.
Okay.
So I like that sort of, I'll call it a rubric or whatever you want to call it. I like that because it gives people an out. A lot of clients have thanked me for giving them that sort of the rule, the 2QS rule, because it allows them to exit the conversation fully knowing that they've given it a fair chance. Now, let's say you write the cool with your strong arm emoji or whatever. I've calculated this because I did used to be an economist. There's a 10%, 90% chance the conversation is done there. It was already done. You were just tying it in a bow at the end. Okay. Also, the reason I like to end with a statement instead of just leaving it in the dark is I never want anyone I work with to be accused of ghosting anyone. You're having the last word at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 90% chance the conversation was dead anyway, leave it there. 10% chance they come back because they've realized, oh, I have nothing to work with here. Oh, it's because I didn't ask a question. Now, of that 10%, 50% will say, how's it going? How's your day? I also, that's the bane of my existence. I put everyone on a how's it going cleanse. Nobody who works with me anyway is allowed to say, how's it going? How's your day? How's your week? How are you faring? How are you holding up? I don't care. None of that is allowed because it leads to, the only answers people ever give are, I'm working, I'm relaxing, I'm doing laundry. I'm tired. That's about it. That's all people do apparently.
Yeah. So it's important when you just said that, it made me think about just even regular conversations with people that I never know how to answer.
I don't
what's
either.
been going on? And then I feel like so much pressure. I'm like, oh my God, what's been going, I don't know. So many things, nothing.
I feel the same. When someone says, what's up? Like, I feel like nothing is the approach, but like so many things are up.
Yes. And you don't know where to add in. Yeah.
Do they care?
Yes, that's the other part.
You know, it was funny. The front desk guy at my building this morning was like, how's it going? And like, what I really wanted to say was, I just went to the gym and my back is killing me, but he does not care, so I just said, oh, it's good. Happy New Year. But then I'm like, I'm this watered down, boring version, but I think that's what they want. I totally agree with you. So that's why we're not doing it online.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I'm looking through my questions.
Yeah.
I'm going out of order. I just thought about this because these are people, close friends in my life.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help someone who they're fabulous people, they
Yep.
have a vibrant social life, and they have problems dating because they prioritize their friendships, which is so wonderful, versus their dating life? Like, what's your advice on, or how do you help people like that?
Well, I mean, I do think we prioritize what we want to prioritize. And if they don't want to actually be dating and they would rather spend time with their friends, that's a valid option.
Hmm.
I wonder sometimes if people say they want something, but then if they're not doing the thing to help them get what they want, why? Is it just to say I
Mm,
tried, but not
yeah,
actually try? I mean, you have to make time for this. You have to make time for anything that's important. And so you just have to, what can I say? You have to commit to doing it. I
yeah,
generally recommend if you're doing online dating, just do it for 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening. I'm not talking hours out of your life at any given time, but more a check in here, a check in there. Maybe in the morning, you write a bunch of messages to people. Maybe in the evening, you monitor to see who's responded and perhaps send a few more. I also recommend going to 3 events per month. Those events don't have to be singles events necessarily, but
yeah,
3 things that take you a little bit outside your comfort zone. Maybe one is a singles event. Maybe it's a speed dating event. Maybe it's some sort of mixer. I couldn't say. And maybe the other 2 are just, maybe one's a comedy show and you bring a friend, but you make a pact to talk to 2 new people. Maybe
yeah,
it's a concert where, again, you go with a friend. Maybe it's a trivia night. That's a great way to meet new people. Just
yeah.
something that's a little bit outside your comfort zone. Maybe if you like wine, it's a wine festival. I don't care what it is, but I do want people making that effort to go to different things because, yeah, it does require setting aside that time and making a conscious effort to do it.
That makes sense. Just kind of always putting yourself out there. But you were making me think how I'm just thinking about the two friends I have that you'd be like, I don't understand why they want a partner, but then they
Well,
have
but then they're not doing it. And everyone is
yeah.
so obsessed with, quote, wasting time.
Yes, that's
I
exactly it. They're
I
like, I
knew.
go on this date and this person's annoying, then I have to go on another one. That's it.
I wish I could change everyone's mindset in that way, but I'm not God. So um everyone is so obsessed with not wasting time. I don't
Yes.
see going out to meet a new person, even if it's not a match, as a waste of time. I see that as part of the process in
Hmm.
finding the person you ultimately want to find.
Hmm.
People are so, like, your friends who are prioritizing their friends, I'm sure, are saying to you, well, why would I want to go waste an hour with this new person if we're not going to get along when I could be at dinner with my friend? I get it. I
Yeah.
hear that every day, and it drives
Yeah.
me a little bit bonkers because no one can guarantee. But if you go in thinking this person has to do a song and a dance to entertain me, so it's not a waste of my time, you're setting yourself up for disappointment every time. But if you
Yeah.
go in thinking, I'm meeting a new person, whatever happens, happens, I'm not going to be attached to the outcome, I've set
Yeah.
aside this time for dating, then it's never completely a waste. And look, every bad date is a good story anyway, right?
Yes. Yeah,
But I
it's a
hear
good
that all
story
the
to tell.
time. I hear like people trying to, they're like, oh, I want to do 3 phone calls and a video call and then I'll finally meet. Just go meet somebody. What's the worst that happens? It's an hour out of your life. I hope we all have
Yeah.
many, many, many more hours left. It's one, you know? And
Yeah.
I understand if you have children and it's very difficult to find that time, then I'm all for, if you don't live near each other, then I'm all for doing a video date as the first date to sort of,
Oh,
yeah, why not? To see if there's any little connection there before you decide to meet. If you're going to have to hire a babysitter to go on every date, yeah, that might, a video date is not perfect, but it's a decent proxy for a first date. I
yeah.
do recommend that if it's hard to go on a first date.
Yeah. That was actually a question like for someone who has kids, they're divorced,
Mm-hmm.
how they can fit that in. Because I don't even understand how people, I don't even have kids and I always have problems getting stuff done. Like, how do people have kids and cook for
I
them?
feel that way. I don't have kids either. I feel that way too.
And then now they got a date? Oh my goodness, so much.
It's amazing what you can fit in when you have to fit it in, right? And I would say the
Yes.
same thing about dating. Like when we have to do something, somehow we find the time. I don't know where it comes from,
Yeah.
like when we have to, rehab an injury. Somehow we find the time to go to a doctor or physical therapy or whatever it is.
It's true.
We find it.
Yeah.
And so anything that's a priority, you have to find the time to do it.
With all the technology that's out there, I always think, oh, it's made to save us time, and then we end up just wasting time on tech. But there is time, right?
There is.
We scroll.
Look, I mean, people are scrolling Instagram for an hour. That's probably how they found you or me. So instead, they could be meeting someone.
Exactly. Can we end with some success stories or cool client stories you've had for maybe even people who never thought they'd meet someone?
I would love nothing more than that. Sure. I think it's funny. I think we all have a tendency to put in our heads what we think we should have or want or end up with, or whatever word you want to use there. And I always recommend that people date outside their type. And that could mean physically. It could mean many things. It could mean the job type you thought your partner should have. Why? I don't know, society. And I still remember I was working with this young woman, I don't know, maybe 33 years old, who wants kids and was really hesitant to date men with kids. And that's not something, I don't tell people what to do. That's a personal preference. But if they're sort of wishy-washy about it or on the fence, that's when I'll have a conversation and I'll say, well, why do you have these beliefs? We'll just talk through the whys of things. Anyway, I was doing the full service for her. I set her up with this guy, and she looked at his picture before the date, and she goes, he's too nerdy. I don't want to go out with him. And I said, well, we just had this really nice conversation. He had 2 kids. No, one. He had one young son, maybe like 3. And she's like, I don't know. I don't want to go. And I said, just what's the worst that happens? You have you're trying a new wine bar, whatever. So she goes and she comes back and she's like, he was really nice. I still don't know, but he was nice. And I said, I'll take nice. Nice is better than not nice.
Nice is hard to find.
It is hard to find. And the criteria for a second date that I give is, are you curious to have one more conversation with this person? You don't know if it's long term. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to know how attracted you are. All you need to know is, am I curious enough to have one more conversation? And using that criteria, she was curious enough to have one conversation. Anyway, she went on 2 or 3 dates with him. Then our contract ended. So I sort of never really knew what happened. Well, about 9 months later, I get this random text from her. It was a picture of her with the guy and the child and keys to their new home. And she was like, we got engaged and we're moving in. And I cried, and I love being a part of it. I mean, nothing makes me happier, but 2, I was glad she challenged her beliefs that weren't really based on anything. It was just based on, I think, what she thought or maybe familiarity. Yeah. And I find that when people do challenge their beliefs and go outside their quote type, it can be a beautiful thing.
And you just made me think of a question. Let's say someone goes on a few dates, they have good conversation. They're still, let's say it's 3 dates in, maybe even 4, still not sure about the physical attraction.
That's hard.
So what do you do? Like, do you keep going until you have a definitive answer?
I would say yes, but on the other hand, 3 or 4 or 5 dates is a lot. If you're still not feeling physical attraction after 3 or 4 or 5 dates, that might just be your answer. I would say after 1 or 2, you should keep going. But ultimately you have to decide what's best for you. You could keep going until you know for sure, but I would say give anything 2 or 3 dates. And if at that point you're not feeling it, it's okay also to say no.
Okay. Actually, that's very helpful because I can think of friends who've had that experience. They're like, this person's really nice. We have nice conversations, but physically just...
Well, but then I want to talk about, is it that you're not physically attracted to them, or in your eyes, they're not attractive enough for who you think you should be with?
Oh, you mean like that you have a type you're looking for and you're
or they're afraid to be judged for something, because, we all have friends who are obsessed with men's height, right? Okay.
Oh my God. That's going to be another, and that's another thing about dating. I think that I feel bad for men where women will write in their profile, don't talk to me if you're under 6'3".
Oh, we froze for a sec.
I lost you for a second.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode in itself. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Talking about height could be a whole episode in itself. I mean, I work with people every day who come to me and say, I want someone 6 feet, 6'2". And I just rattle off statistics and say, well, if you want someone 6'2", you just excluded 96% of the population. Are you comfortable with that? And when it really comes, 96%. 6 foot and above, you've excluded 86%, right? Only 14% of men in the US are 6 feet and above.
All right.
5'9" is average. Even if you go 5'9" and up, you're still excluding 50% of the population.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, and maybe this will sound controversial, I don't know. When it comes down to it, it's actually not that women are not attracted to shorter men. It's that they don't feel as good about themselves, that they don't feel small enough, that they don't feel petite enough, that they don't feel.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I hate that that's a thing. But when it comes down to, that's what I have to tell my shorter male clients. It's not that she's not attracted to you. It's how she feels about herself. And that's nothing you can do. And so, I encourage everyone to just, look, I can't force my beliefs on everyone, but if I could, I would say go out with people of all heights, of all races, of all ethnicities. Just try. Because what we think we know about people, we don't know until you try. And one person also does not represent all people, all men, all people on Bumble, all people of a certain race, ethnicity, height, anything, prior marital status, education level. I hear all the time things like, oh yeah, I went out with this guy once who was fill in the blank. So now I won't go out with anyone who is fill in the blank. And it's like, why are you giving this guy so much credit that he somehow represents all men? Please, I don't want to represent all anything ever.
I love it. Thank you so much for all this valuable advice. And for everyone listening, I'm going to put Erika's details in the show notes in case you want to hire her or just follow her to learn more with all her great dating tips. And happy 2024. Woo! I'm Coach Tina. For more information about how to work with me, head to ironstrongfitness.com and send me a message. I'll see you next time.